Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead. Aherne. Today's top stories. Pub owners say they're gobsmacked that all pubs can't reopen for another 3 weeks. 8 new cases of coronavirus have been diagnosed in Waterford in just over a week. The Taoiseach says the North Quays has great potential for Waterford. And in sport, there are 4 games in the Premier League across Channel tonight. A Waterford city publican says she feels completely let down by the government. It's after cabinet ministers met yesterday and decided to delay the reopening of all pubs for another 3 weeks. The reproductive rate of the virus has increased to between 1.2 and 1.8, meaning phase 4 of the easing of coronavirus restrictions has been delayed until August 10th. Pubs, nightclubs and casinos can't reopen and restrictions on public gatherings remain in place. The Vintners Federation of Ireland has described the decision as a hammer blow for the industry. Mary Brady Sharp runs Brady's Pub in St John's Park. She's the chairperson of the Waterford City VFI.
It's hard. It's very, very hard. It means that pubs that we call wet pubs, pubs that don't serve food or have chosen not to open, we will be 5 months closed. We consider our customers to be friends as well as customers. And we have a staff of part-timers and full-timers. Most people are from the area. Going to have to get on to them now and tell them that we're not going to be good to go.
Mary has this message for government.
I feel so left down. I really feel very, very left down. We have done everything we've been asked to do, and it feels like we're being kicked back to the back of the queue again. 5 months with no trading. How am I going to make my business work? We need help, and we're going to need an awful lot of help from the government when we do get to go.
John McGrath's from Downey's Pub in Dungarvan. He spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
In Dungarvan we have 16 pubs, Damien. At the moment, 4 of them will be open at 12 o'clock doing food. There are 13 off-licensed around me that will be open for 11 and a half hours today, 7 days a week. Now, they're talking about house parties and everything, which is, I live beside the supermarket, Damien. Some days I need a wheelbarrow to bring the stuff out they're bringing out there, Like in a pub, the drink is controlled, the customer's controlled, the measures are controlled. What we serve to people, we don't let people falling out into the street. That's not our business. I'm in business here 30 years. Nobody falls out the door.
Neil Kelly is from the Causeway Group of Bars and Clubs in Waterford.
We have all our orders in. Everything is done. We have all our staff training in place. We have done all the COVID checklists. They were all due to come in Friday for another staff training. So our staff have already signed off. So now we have to notify them yesterday, say, well, look, this has changed again and August 10th is the date. So it's just very confusing and it's all delayed and very late.
The Taoiseach said he can't guarantee pubs will be able to open on August 10th. It comes after a decision not to allow them to open on Monday, with a review to happen in 3 weeks. Leo Varadkar's acknowledged it's a hammer blow for publicans. Independent TD Michael Healy-Rae says rural pubs should be allowed to open.
We've always said that the Irish pubs are unique. Our country pubs are unique. They're catering for smaller groups of people. They know their customers. And all they wanted to do was open up in a small way that the local people could come in from the countryside and have a drink. You must remember there's an awful difference between Dame Lane and Ballinskilligs, or between Dame Lane and Portmagee.
There's been another increase in the number of cases of coronavirus in Waterford. Figures from Monday, which were released last night, show 1 new case has been confirmed here, bringing the total number since the outbreak began to 166. 8 cases have been diagnosed in Waterford in just over a week. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 positive patients being treated at University Hospital Waterford remains unchanged at 2. That's according to the HSE's daily operations update, and shows 1 further patient awaiting the results of coronavirus testing last night. The Taoiseach says the North Quays project is very important and of critical mass for the South East region. Micheál Martin was responding to questions put to him in the Dáil by Waterford's David Culnan. The Sinn Féin TD asked if funding certainty would be pushed for now that the development has received planning permission.
For 2.5 years, the Council has been trying to get the funding certainty for this and the sequencing right It still hasn't happened. I spoke to the CEO of the council this morning. He's exacerbated that it still hasn't happened. And it's hugely important to the future of Waterford City and indeed to the South East. So, Taoiseach, can you intervene here? Can you talk to the Minister for Housing and Local Government and indeed the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform and give the people of the South East the certainty here in relation to this project so that this iconic project can go ahead very quickly and very speedily?
Thank you, Deputy. And Taoiseach.
Micheál Martin says it's outside of his remit as Taoiseach to follow up on every piece of funding, but he acknowledges that it's important the North Quays project goes ahead.
The Deputy did speak to me before this session happened, and I think it is a very important project and one that has great potential for Waterford. I will certainly check that out, pursue the issue. Notwithstanding that I'm Taoiseach, it's not my gift to instruct every minister to provide every grant to every project, but this is a very important one and one of critical mass that can have knock-on benefits, and I'll certainly talk to the Minister for Housing and Public Expenditure in relation to it.
The Finance Minister said everyone on the wage subsidy scheme will need to pay the income tax they owe. It's after a suggestion from Sinn Féin's Pierce Doherty that the amount anyone would have to pay the state would be capped. The Revenue Commissioners have yet to announce when they'll seek to collect the tax people on the wage subsidy scheme haven't been paying. But Minister Paschal Donoghue says it will come due and he's not in favour of a cap.
I would be initially concerned about that because we do have participants on the wage subsidy scheme who are not low income, who are in fact middle income workers, who are on the scheme because we wanted to keep their job. And I do think it's fair that we have a principle that if there's a tax liability due, the right amount should be paid by all.
Meanwhile, the wage subsidy scheme may be extended beyond October as part of the July stimulus package. The government will finalise the multi-billion euro plan on Monday. It'll aim to kickstart the economy and sectors particularly badly hit by COVID. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said they're examining a number of measures as part of the package.
The kind of things we are examining, for example, is whether the commercial rates waiver should be continued for a longer period of time. That saves money business. It saves money for business in terms of reducing their costs, whether the wage subsidy scheme should be continued and open to groups of workers that are not currently covered, those who weren't on the payroll back in February, like seasonal workers, for example. Also, whether we should do something around the Restart grant.
There'll be a round of applause for Jack Charlton in the Dáil this evening. The legendary Ireland manager passed away last week, and the Dáil's Business Committee has decided to honour him with an applause in the chamber. A plan on how colleges and universities can reopen will be published this month. The draft guidelines are currently being examined by public health officials, as Casey O'Riordan reports.
So the traditional college life, the packed bar, etc., is not where we can be today. But that doesn't mean you can't have a college experience, and I think we've already...
The Minister for Higher Education attempting to reassure third-level students. A plan that will offer guidance to colleges and universities on how they can reopen in September is due to be published this month. Minister Simon Harris says every institution will implement the measures differently.
They'll be physically different in terms of their layout. They'll each respond in a unique way as to how best they can safeguard their students and staff.
The Union of Students in Ireland has previously called for fees to be reduced, considering many courses will migrate online. Minister Harris says the cost of education will increase in the short term, so a balance will need to be found, but has assured fees will not increase for students. The possibility of providing students with laptops and tablets is also being examined.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I'm Nigel Kelly, starting with the Premier League, where Man United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he'll see the true mentality of his players against Crystal Palace tonight. United conceded a stoppage time equaliser against Southampton on Monday, denting their top four hopes. Solskjaer wants a positive response from his squad.
We've done fantastic since we restarted. Started with a draw against Tottenham, of course, but then had a great run. And now that little bit of a setback is a test for mentalities.
Fourth place Leicester can boost their chances of Champions League football with a win against Sheffield United. Struggling Aston Villa go to Everton, while Southampton host Brighton later this evening. In golf, Rory McIlroy is looking to hold on to his position as the world's top golfer. He begins the Memorial Tournament in Ohio by teeing off alongside Tiger Woods and Brooks Koepka tonight. Open champion Shane Lowry is in a group with fellow major winners Phil Mickelson and Justin Rose. In rugby news, England captain Owen Farrell has committed his long-term future to Saracens. He signed a new deal despite the club being relegated to the Championship next season. Gaelic Games Games, and former Cork boss Conor Coonahan has hailed the late Kieran O'Connor as someone you couldn't say enough about. The 2010 All-Ireland winner O'Connor has passed away at the age of 41 following a battle against a rare bone tumour. Coonahan says his clubmate dealt with his illness bravely and was ultra-competitive as a player. In Camogie, 11 counties are awaiting this evening's revised draw for the Liberty Insurance All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship. They'll be drawn to 2 groups of 4 teams with 1 group of 3. The Group 1 and 2 winners will go directly to the semi-finals, with the runners-up in those games meeting the top 2 teams from Group 3 in the quarter-finals. And in racing, there is a 7-race card at Leopardstown this evening, where the first one goes to post at 4:15. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.